All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today, it's all about a super important business concept, COGS. That's cost of goods sold for the uninitiated. Looks like from the notes you sent me, you've been digging into some business financials.
Yeah, I've been spending some time with those. Could be gearing up for a big meeting, maybe thinking about launching something new, or hey, maybe just curious.
That's the best reason. And honestly, understanding COGS is it's like getting this sneak peek behind the curtain at how a company actually makes money. It's fascinating.
Totally. It's kind of like a secret code, right? Crack the
Ye-
code GS, and suddenly you can read financial statements, see how healthy a business really is.
Right, like you're seeing the guts of the operation.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get too deep, let's zoom out for a sec. At a high level, what is COGS?
So, in the simplest terms, COGS is the total cost of everything that goes directly into making or buying the stuff a company sells.
Okay, so not just the materials, right? But like everything involved in getting the product out the door, ready to sell.
Bingo. It's all the essentials, no fluff. And that essential part is key because it helps us understand how efficiently a company turns, basic stuff like raw materials and labor into actual sellable products.
So if a company has a really high COGS, that's a red flag.
Not necessarily a red flag, but definitely something to look into. It could mean they're not getting the best deals on materials or their production process is kind of clunky. Either way, it's going to eat into their profits.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's get in the nitty gritty. What are the main ingredients of COGS?
All right, let's break it down. We've got four main players here. First up, raw materials.
The building blocks, the
Yes.
stuff the product is literally made of. Right? Got it.
Exactly. So if you're making furniture, it's the wood. If you're whipping up some delicious food, it's the ingredients. For tech gadgets, it's the components, chips, all that good stuff.
Got it. And then what's next on the list?
Labor costs. But remember, it's not every single person on the payroll. We're talking specifically about the folks directly involved in making the product.
Ah, so not the CEO, not the marketing team, but the people on the assembly line, the bakers, the ones with their hands dirty, literally making the thing.
You got it. They're the heart of the operation, and their wages are a big chunk of COGS.
Okay, labor. What else do we need to factor in?
Number three, manufacturing costs. This covers all the other expenses that go into the actual making of the product. We're talking factory rent, the electricity bill to power those machines, packaging, the whole shebang.
So all those operational costs, those definitely add up.
Absolutely. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle, freight costs.
Oh yeah, getting the raw materials where they need to be to start the magic.
Right. This is all about the transportation costs of getting those raw materials from, wherever they're sourced to the factory floor or the production facility.
Okay, so those four elements, raw materials, labor, manufacturing, and freight, those make up COGS. Makes sense.
Yep, that's the recipe. And by looking at each ingredient, we get some real insights into how a business ticks.
I like that analogy. So to make it real, let's use an example. Let's say there's this guy, Mike, who runs a custom table business in Texas.
Okay, Mike the table guy. I like him already.
Right. He's got his workshop, sawdust flying everywhere. It's a whole vibe. So in 2024, let's say Mike spent $20,000 on wood and materials. He's all about quality lumber.
Yeah, gotta use good wood for good tables. That's raw materials, check.
Then he pays his carpenters. Gotta have skilled labor for custom tables, right? He spends $15,000 on wages.
Direct labor, keeping things handcrafted. What else?
Factory costs. Got to keep the lights on, keep those saws sharp, all that. Another $5,000 there.
Can't forget those. And how about getting that lumber from the forest to his shop?
Right, got to factor in shipping costs, which for Mike, let's say it was $2,000. So if we add all that up,
20,000 for materials, 15 for labor, 5 for the factory, and 2 for shipping.
that comes out to $42,000 total. So Mike's T5ES for 2024 is $42,000. Simple as that.
See, math doesn't have to be scary.
Not when it's about awesome tables. But here's the real question. Did Mike make any money?
Right, that's the whole point. Let's do some more math.
Yeah.
We know his COGS is $42,000, and let's say Mike sold all his tables for a cool $100,000,
Not bad, Mike. So to get his gross profit, we subtract the COGS from his revenue.
which leaves him with $58,000 in gross profit. Mike's doing all right.
Not bad for a year of sawdust and elbow grease. It really shows how understanding and managing those COGS can make or break a business, huh?
100%. This is where things get really interesting. Lower COGS generally means higher profits, but it also tells us a lot about a company's efficiency. Are they getting good deals on their raw materials? Are they running a tight ship in the production process, minimizing waste?
And I guess for Mike, the question is, how does his COGS compare to other furniture makers? Is there like a healthy range for COGS?
That's a super smart question. A good COGS percentage totally depends on the industry. But for custom furniture, like what Mike's doing, he's actually looking pretty solid. A lower COGS might mean he's a savvy shopper getting good prices on his lumber, or that his team is super skilled minimizing waste, which also saves money in the long run.
So what you're saying is, whether you're thinking about investing in a company or, like Mike, you're running your own business, understanding COGS is a must.
Absolutely essential. It gives you a clear answer to that fundamental question: how much does it really cost to make this thing? And that knowledge is power.
Right. And it's not just about the bottom line either. Here in the United States, COGS is tax deductible, which can be a huge deal for a company's overall tax bill.
For sure. And beyond taxes, understanding COGS is super important for managing inventory. If you know your COGS, you can make smarter decisions about pricing, purchasing, and even how much product to make.
Right, like if Mike knows his COGS, he can figure out how much he needs to sell each table for to hit his profit goals. And then maybe he realizes he needs to raise prices a little. Or maybe he can find a cheaper supplier for wood.
Exactly. It's all about having the information to make informed decisions. It's not just about the numbers themselves, it's about what they tell you about the business.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've broken down what COGS is, how to calculate it, and why it matters, even for a one-man operation like Mike's.
Definitely. But it's important to remember that COGS is just one piece of the puzzle.
That's a super interesting point. And honestly, this whole deep dive into COGS has made me realize that understanding financials is kind of like learning a new language.
It totally is. And the more you understand, the more you can decipher those financial statements, the better equipped you are to make smart choices. Whether you're an investor, an entrepreneur, or just someone who wants to understand how businesses work, it's a superpower.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It's all about empowering ourselves to understand this stuff so we can make informed decisions.
Thanks for taking the time to break it all down.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk shop, especially when it comes to the fascinating world of business. So there you have it, the lowdown on COGS. But keep in mind, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to understanding a company's financials. Keep exploring.
The deeper you dive, the more you learn, and who knows, you might even start enjoying those financial statements.
Well, maybe not enjoying, but definitely appreciating them a little more. Thanks again, and until next time, happy analyzing.
Stay curious.